Hello friends, this is Dr. Amarjit Kaur, Professor of Accounting and Business Communication at the Department of Management, Gurugram University, Gurugram. I am privileged to be here to talk on intercultural communication, and next few minutes I am going to talk about the importance of intercultural communication, theories of intercultural communication, and the skills required for intercultural communication. So that's the agenda for next few minutes. I hope you would stay with me and would like to learn about these aspects of intercultural communication. So friends, let's start with theories of communication in situation of intercultural communication. So we call it as intercultural communication theories. So as we know that intercultural communication is a situation when a interaction is taking place between the people or the group of people who come from diverse culture. They may be having a common language knowledge, or they may not be having a common language known to them, right? But they come from diverse cultures, and the attempt is made by each of them to know about the culture of the other person and to make the communication accordingly, or to change or adopt the communication accordingly. That's what the intercultural communication is. So the theories which we have, there are a couple of theories. I am going to talk about four important theories in the context of intercultural communication. The first one is social science approach. The second one is interpretive approach. The third one is dialectic approach. The fourth one is critical approach. So let's talk about these four theories. Number one, social science approach. So in this approach, the people who are interacting with the other group, or the people from, of course they are from diverse culture, they both the groups or both the person are from diverse culture. They are trying to observe the behavior, right? So at this time, this is how they speak, this is how they smile, this is how they react, they nod this way or they nod that way, right? So this is known as social science approach, where we are trying to observe how the other person is responding or acting in different situations, right? So this is by observing the behavior we are adopting our communication. So that theory focuses on the social science approach, and this social science theory focuses on observation of behavior and adopting your communication style to make the communication effective, right? You start doing the same way the other was doing, and the other starts or tries to follow you. So there's a harmony between the two people, and automatically this will lead to an effective communication. The second is interpretive approach. In interpretive approach, what happens? People try to gather knowledge, not just observation, the actual written material, the text, the literature about the culture of other person or other group of people, and then interpret that in your own sense, right? So interpreting, so it is known as interpretive approach, where you are trying to accumulate the knowledge by talking, by reading, by watching videos, by reading something online, or any published or print material. You are accumulating knowledge and you are trying to interpret that this is how they respond in this situation, this is how they will take it as easy or bad or good, and then you decide your line of communication in that context. This is the second theory. The third is dialectical approach. In dialectical approach, it really emphasizes upon observing the differences, dichotomies, what kind of dichotomies we have from the other culture. So we practice this when there is a wedding, when there is a death, when there is a celebration of birthday, when there is a fast, when there is a admission, when there is any such situation. How do they do? How they are different, celebrating wedding, celebrating birthday, celebrating anniversary, celebrating, observing fast, visiting religious places, tourist, visiting travel, tourist places. So we observe instead of observing the the overall practices, we are trying to observe the difference in practices, right. So we are working on dichotomies we have between the two cultures. This is known as dialectical approach, the third theory. So this is the theory which says do this and you can make your intercultural communication effective. The fourth theory is critical approach. Here we look at all aspects, the commonalities, the differences, the individual to individual, subjective behavior. So we go very critical and we go in depth. So this theory, this approach of critical approach of making intercultural communication effective is or tries to focus on all known aspects of cultural differences and thereafter mastering into communication. So it is the most diverse and the astringent approach of observing communication in case of intercultural situation. These were the theories. Now I am going to talk about importance. So since we have in the previous session we have talked about intercultural communication, and now since there are cities, countries, companies, corporates where people from various cultures stay together, work together. So intercultural communication is becoming important for sure, right. So how it is very important to have good control or hands on the intercultural communication. Why is it important? Let's talk about this in detail. So there are a couple of points I have for that. The first thing is this encourages cultural awareness. Second is it builds ability to deal across cultures. Number 3 is it helps building understanding. Number 4 is it leads to break down barriers. Number 5 it helps individuals to build relationships. Number 6 is it helps avoid misunderstanding. Number 7 is it builds ability to more tolerance. Number 8 it leads to higher acceptance. Number 9 it helps in military operations, and last is it helps in delivering medical services effectively. So let's discuss these points in detail now. So number 1 is, as I said, is it encourages this cultural awareness. So as I said, there are 4 theories. So different theories are promoting or propelling you to read about other culture, to learn about other culture by observation or going a critical review or knowing the differences, dichotomies, So in all the 4 situations, what is happening? You are being encouraged, to be aware of the other culture. The extent varies, if you are observing behavior, the extent would be different than the critical theory, right. But in both the situation, ultimately we are encouraging, we have been encouraged in fact to be aware about the culture of the other person or the other group, right. So that is the first importance of intercultural communication, because communication demands that to make the intercultural communication effective, it demands that we should be aware of the other culture. So we automatically, or we are rather propelled to know about the culture of other culture or other person or other group. The second point was it helps us in building ability to deal across culture. The moment we put in certain efforts in knowing the culture, getting aware of the culture of other person or other group, automatically we will get to know how to deal with that, because we may read, we may observe, we may review that how to deal with such culture, right. If somebody bows his head, what are we supposed to be doing? If I am a male from X country and I am meeting a female from Y country, am I supposed to be shaking hand or not, right. So I get to develop my ability to deal with different situation because I am venturing into intercultural communication. The third point is the once I am aware, once I start developing the ability to deal, automatically I am getting deeper and deeper understanding. That is the third point. It is the intercultural communication is helping me to develop, to build a broader, a deeper understanding of other cultures and the communication aspects of intercultural communication, right? The fourth point is it will help us to break down very many barriers. So, there are barriers which happens in intercultural communication. Forget about intercultural communication. There are so many barriers which take place even between the people who come from the same culture and the same language, right? Even then there are barriers, because there could be barriers of psychology, psychological issues, prejudices, noise. There are so many barriers in culture, in communication, and when this communication is happening between the people of diverse culture, irrespective of they are knowing the common language or not, it is actually becoming more difficult situation, right? So, once we put in effort to be aware of the culture, we try to get or an understanding of the culture, we are developing an ability to deal with culture. What is happening? We are breaking down the barriers gradually, right? So, that is the importance of intercultural communication, that it helps to break down the barriers between the cultures, and the people start staying in harmony, start working in a cohesive environment if they are working together, and that is the benefit of intercultural communication. The fifth point, as I said, is that it helps the individual to build relationship. Gradually, if you are honoring the other's culture, right, you are trying to learn his culture or her culture, trying to respect that, trying to communicate in his language or her language, you are showing that you are interested, you are in his culture, you value his culture, you value this diversity of between you and him, or you and her, or you as a group and the other group, right? So, this is automatically is going to help in developing good terms, good relations between the two people or two groups for that matter, right? Then the sixth point is it helps avoid misunderstandings. The moment we are able to interpret what is been said or had been written or had been unsaid, but like communicated through non-verbal or through gestures, there is a possibility of misunderstanding, right? So, that we will avoid that misunderstanding. There is a possibility of not having misunderstanding, or the possibility to have misunderstanding gets down, right. So, we will avoid such misunderstandings, because we are knowing, we know the signs being used, the body gestures being used in that culture, apart from the language itself. So, this is another benefit of intercultural communication. Then we have that we will build ability for more tolerance. If I start knowing about one culture, I start getting aware of it, start respecting it, automatically I would be tolerant. It's fine if they are making some noise on celebrating a particular function or an event, or they are loud or they are silent, right, or they take more time to respond. This culture varies even from another company, right, but especially we are talking about the culture of groups or people. So, automatically if I know, and I know this is happening because of this practice, or this is happening because their culture is such, I would automatically develop tolerance, right. So, this really helps you to develop as a person, grow as a person, and you will start having more tolerance for about other cultures too. And ultimately it will lead to higher acceptance. You will have higher acceptance for others culture, others practices, others way of talking, others way of responding, etc., etc. Then the ninth point is that it helps in military operations. You know, in military operations what happens? The military of, if there is a military operation, for example, there is a rescue happening of Indians from other country, which which is certainly practicing different culture, and our military goes on an operation to rescue our strained Indians in that country. So, if I am aware as a rescue officer or as a team, you know, so our team is a group of people from India, right? So, this is the military operation. So, the military people of Indian military, they are trying to rescue certain Indians from another country which has different culture. So, if I have been trained for intercultural communication, means if I know that the people I am going to deal, they come from different culture, this is how this is the meaning of non-verbal communication for them, these are the practices they have, they may know my language, they may not know my language. So, automatically if I am trained for that, my operation would become easy to succeed, or and the likelihood of success is higher if I know the intercultural communication and I am trained for it. So, this is the indirect or direct benefit. Same way nowadays medical tourism is expanding, is rising, and especially in India. You know, we have so many people coming from neighboring countries, from different continents, coming to our country for surgeries, for consulting, for treatment, right? Delivering medical services to the people or the from other culture can become easy, right, very easy if we, the doctor, the staffs, you know, the paramedical staff, they know and they honor those intercultural differences and those cultural differences, and they try to communicate accordingly. And this is not only for military or medical services, this is true for running any business, right. That is another benefit, that its importance of intercultural communication in effective business services or business operations, right. So, these are the couple of benefits or you know, of intercultural communication. Now, I would like to talk about the skills which are required for intercultural communication, which we call them as intercultural communication skills. So, I am going to talk about few of them. Number 1, self awareness. Number 2, empathy. Number 3, respect. Number 4, patience. Number 5, emotional intelligence. Number 6, positivity. Number 7, adaptability. Let me explain these 7 now in detail. So, the first one is self awareness. So, the first skill to develop intercultural communication for anybody is that a person should be aware that I am not a master of communication for every culture, and being aware that I come from a different culture and the other person who is interacting with me or whom I am going to interact with is of different culture. So, there is an awareness that this is how I am different from others, and being aware that there is an importance of having intercultural communication skills. So, this is the first skill, that being aware of self. Second is having an empathy you know, for others. Having empathy means being able to put yourself in others' shoes. You cannot be so rigid in your approach. You need to be little flexible, right, and that can happen only if you are empathetical towards others. You try to feel their pain, their practice, their concern, their culture. Of course, yes, that is how your intercultural communication would be effective. If you lack empathy, you may not be able to make a very effective intercultural communication. This is the second skill you as an individual, or I as an individual, or a group of people, they need to have it. The third skill which one need to have is, in irrespective of the language you know or not, you are aware of the culture or not, respect. Never ever lose respect for others. If you really, because respect is something which is visible in your body language, in your eyes, on your facial expression, irrespective you speak something or not, right? So, if we lack in respecting others, if we do not practice respecting others, we are not going to be able to have strong, effective intercultural communication. So, this is a very, very important skill. Believe me, it is more important than empathy or being aware, self-aware. Then the fourth skill one need to have is being patient, right? Having patience about others, because you don't know, to us, if I say I will come in 5 minutes, Indians know 5 minutes means 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. कब पहुंच रहे हैं आप? बस मैं पहुंचने वाला हूँ, 5 मिनट रहते हैं. ये बड़ा कॉमन स्टेटमेंट है, राइट, इन इंडिया. एंड आई, इफ आई एम टॉकिंग टू द पर्सन, आई नो he or she means 20-15 मिनट तो कहीं नहीं गए. But you are talking to someone else, and that person who is interacting with you is somebody who practice, or their culture, the practice is, if we promise, if we say 5:30, the person will reach 15 minutes in advance, right? And you are not there for the meeting. Oh my God! So the other person need to be patient, and maybe be sure that the person is coming from other culture. When he says 5 minutes, that's not the real meaning of, that's not the real communication, right? So one need to be patient in intercultural communication, because other person may take time to understand your practice, your meaning, your literal meaning of whatever you said or whatever you practice. The other person may need more time than you expect. You may be fast learner, but the other person may not be. So one need to be patient. Number 5 is one should be strong in EI, the emotional intelligent quotient, right? The EQ quotient of person who practice or who is into intercultural communication should be higher, right? That helps in managing your emotions while dealing with you and others' emotions as well. If you are not able to control your emotions while dealing with somebody from a different culture, it will become a barrier for effective communication. The another skill you need is that you need to be positive all the time. You believe in the strength of positivity, and you carry that positivity in your body language more than your words. If your body language is positive, and certainly along with the words, then is nothing like that. If you are positive, that is fine. He is taking time, she is taking time, the group is taking time to understand. You are positive that okay, he doesn't mean that, she doesn't mean that, it's simply that he or she is not aware that this is to be avoided. For example, if Indian, they are talking about victory and they make a sign of V, which is considered to be very bad in Australian culture, right? So Indian person coming from Indian culture, dealing with a person or a group of person from Australia, right? They need to keep a positive, is fine. They do not mean it, it's fine, it's okay. They probably do not mean it. Be positive that it is simply because of the lack of culture background or understanding of each other's culture. If we keep that positivity, there would be no barrier in intercultural communication, because this will wipe away it will wipe away that negativity, that barrier which will otherwise lead to not understanding the meaning of what has been said. Last point is adaptability. If you are not if you do not have the skill to adapt to the other's culture, other cultures, other person's communication style, other cultures' values, belief system, then you are going to be in difficult situation. You need not to adapt to practice, but to adapt to respond. Right, to that extent, we are not expecting that one group start practicing whatever is been practiced by the other group. No, adaptation means adopting the style of communication, Adaptation means knowing what is being practiced in other and honoring that. So this is the last skill I really wish to discuss about, and I hope all this what we discussed, the skills, the importance, the theories of intercultural communication would help you to have a good or fair understanding of the topic. And with this I would like to sign off now. Thank you very much for being with me. Thank you.